going on, people? I am back once again for another live video of what I want to talk to you guys about today. The subject I wanted to talk to you about is somewhat like the one, well, not somewhat, but it's like the one from last night. It didn't go as well as I planned, but at the same time, sometimes there's setbacks, and I was still having technical difficulties, so I had to kind of reset my pitch, but everything's cool now, so I'm trying to do the best I can to make sure my videos come out the way I want them to, so right now I'm trying to make sure I have my selfie stick, which I do have, so as you can see, trying to get it right, so that everybody will be able to see me and I won't have any problems. So, and therefore, make sure that I won't have any problems with with the sound, like the sound of something scraping up against it. Sorry about that. But anyway, just trying to make sure everything looks perfect. But anyway, I wanted to go back to what I was talking about last night, and hopefully I will get even more people in and ask as much questions as possible. But also, Gabriel will be speaking through me and my friend, his mate. Now, if you have any questions for him, he will be glad to answer them, and of course, he'll be speaking through both of us, and she will be, answering some questions as well. And also, I hope you guys got a chance to watch the video I posted about the Dotliff incident and some of my theories on what really caused that to happen. So let me see. Let's see. Brown dwarf. I'm not sure what that means, my friend, but I wanted to still talk about the yin and the yang and what it entails. Because the video that I posted about that, it was a live video, but I want to go back into it again, and hopefully this time there'll be I'll get some better, views and better, questions that was coming in, because it was kind of short yesterday. I wanted it to be at least about an hour. Okay, speak up, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's this, my selfie stick. I gotta get it closer, so I'm gonna have to be, so you can hear me. Is that better? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to just do it like this, Okay, now I wanted to get into. Oh yeah, cool. I'm glad you can hear me. Oops, hear that. Hold on. All right. Okay. Now I wanted to get into what I got into last night, but like I said, hopefully it'll be a lot better, and I won't have to worry about anything going wrong and having any technical difficulties. Now, I talked about the ultimate energy on my last video, so you guys already seen that, so I don't really have to talk about that. But I still want to get into the yin and the yang and the concept, and I also want to get into how to get rid of the dark energy. Okay. Now, those of you who may have experienced some dark energy or dark, or the dark ones or dark beings, Gabriel wants to talk about that. He also wants to get into a lot of other things as well. But I definitely want to get into everything there is to know about the yin and the yang. Okay? Now, and I also, once again, want you guys to understand what is coming before they get here, before they return. Now, first thing I want to do is go over the yin and the yang, like I said, and what it means, and what Gabriel and his mate's relationship is all about, because they are a different kind of light and dark. Okay. Now there was let's okay. We're gonna talk about the moon and the phases. Did you know that the moon and the phases have a lot to do with the yin and yang? Because from what Gabriel told me, um, the moon is a light, but it's a light in the dark. Okay, and it also rotates. So that's the reason why when you look at it, it has a dark side and a light side. So you have you have the yin and the yang. It doesn't look like it rotates, but to us, but it really does. I guess mainly because of the rotations of the planets in the Earth mainly. Now the moon, like I said, is a light, but it's a light in the dark. And then what we humans call an eclipse is the dark in the light. Okay, the moon is the light in the dark. The eclipse is the dark in the light. Because think about it. What happens when it comes to an eclipse? You have the solar eclipse. The solar eclipse passes the moon. Let's see. The moon passes in front of the sun, casting a shadow of the backside of that moon onto the Earth, in whatever area it's passing over. Okay, so think about it. The dark and the light, and the light and the dark just entails that all the time. Like the shadow casting on the Earth, which is lit up by the sun, or the giver of life. So that creates a darkness in the light, or a dark in the light. Okay, so there's that reference again. Okay. Now the entire world was built with this balance, light and dark. The entire world. So, however way you look at things around you, like say even in your home, you have a lit up room like this one. That's the light in the dark, which would be the darkness outside. Okay? Now, when you turn off the light, or a light in the area, like say I'm here, my kitchen's over there, so I'll turn off the lights over there. That'll be the dark and the light. And the room here will be the light and the dark. So it goes both ways. But that entails the light and the dark and the light in pretty much everything. Okay. Now, night and day was just a label that they put on it. Okay, because it's like I told you before about labels. Okay, labels and tags, all that stuff. When they put labels on things, it kind of covers up the raw description of what something is. Just like with this, the light and the dark, the yin and the yang. Now let's go into that too. The yin and the yang, the symbol. It is a round symbol that has, let me see, let's talk about cases. Okay, now, like the video that I posted a couple of days, not a couple of days ago, but about like an hour ago. I was talking about the Dotliff incident. Okay? How many of you actually saw the documentary about the Dotliff incident on the History Channel? Anybody? And what about my friend here that wants to talk about the cases? Have you seen the documentary on the Dotliff incident? You still can't hear me? Oh boy, hold on. Always something. What about now? Can you hear me now? I'm trying not to hold it so I won't have to a lot of noise. A lot of noise, huh? Can't even imagine where the noise would be coming from. But let me see. What about now? Can you hear me now? Is it better? I can hear you. Haven't heard of that documentary. What's it called? It's called the You know what? I saw it at least about maybe three or four times. I can't remember the exact name, but maybe I guess the Dot Love documentary or something like that. Something with the name Dot Love in it. I'm not sure. I can't remember the exact name. But first of all, in the documentary, if you haven't seen it, there was a part towards the end where they was telling people, or towards the middle where they were telling people that somebody had took a photo of this dark-looking creature, dark-looking hairy creature, like that's somewhere like in the area where all the trees were. They trying to say that the Bigfoot actually, well, they said it was Bigfoot. They trying to say that whatever that was Bigfoot had something to do with the fact that the tongue was ripped out of that woman's mouth, as well as plucking her eyeballs out of her head. Now, as I said in my video, well, there has been not one piece of evidence that I've heard of stating that a Bigfoot will actually rip someone's tongue out of their mouth, let alone pluck their eyeballs out of their sockets. I have never heard that before. Now, Gabriel himself has told me that it was the dark ones. Okay, now I've talked about them too. Okay, now the dark ones will be the ones who, do all these experiments that people talk about that they have done on them, or they will I won't say subdue you, but suppress you. Have you done any Bigfoot research? I've done some, and when I looked up the evidence on a lot of the cases and the what do you call them? The sightings that people have had, and people's reports on what they've seen, I have never in my years heard anything about how they do stuff like that. I mean, these are elusive creatures. They stay hidden quite well, even though sometimes you'll see them walking in the woods. They're probably going back to their nest or searching for food. But you never see what they do with the food. So how can you say that they actually have you matched up the Bigfoot sightings map and the missing 411 map? No, I haven't, to be honest. Certain things that I've done about the Bigfoot, mystery doesn't match up with. I mean, the things that I've done wouldn't include the maps and all that stuff. But all I know is from the research that I have done, I have never seen anything or any evidence stating that a Bigfoot is that cruel to any kind of creature. I mean, I know they may hunt animals to stay alive and to eat and all that stuff, but I've never heard of stuff like that where they rip the tongue out of a human's mouth. I've never heard of any Bigfoot doing any kind of harm to any human. Now, if you have heard anything like that, it could just be a story that they made up. Check it out. It will shock you, and I'm not saying it all. I'm saying it all. Bigfoot. Right. Exactly. I'll look into it, but I still haven't heard any kind of information that would say that a Bigfoot could do something like that, because we're talking about, like I said, elusive creatures where they can hide very well, but they still come out because they still have to, forage, and they have to eat and all that stuff, so they'll probably probably take down a deer or something like that, because they have found like deer bones in the areas where these Bigfoots would reside. But never have I heard of any human having body part ripped out of their body, like a tongue or their eyeballs. So I try to get away from that because, like I said, I never heard of it. And we're talking about something that can stay hidden very well. So whatever it is they do, you never see it unless you hear them knocking on a tree with a real thick branch or something like that to communicate with other Bigfoot. Let me see. Read that many Native American tribes have stories of them being cannibals and abducting people. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that because I actually never. I mean, I know that they have a lot of stories to tell. You know, I've heard of them tearing people's and animals' heads off. I've. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I did. I honestly, I did hear something like that about them snapping their heads off. But I've only heard that about animals. That's what they do them to in order for them to actually kill them and eat the animal. But I never heard them about humans. I mean, I'll have to go into it. Case Malloy, yes. Case Malloy. Okay. Well, I'll have to look into it. But like I said, I've never heard of it. I mean, it may be some new evidence that I never heard. You know, but yeah. All I know is that with something like that, from what Gabriel told me, it was the others. That's all I can really say. Because, like I said, in the manner of them being taken out like that, I'm talking faces being, like the skin being pretty much burnt completely off of their face. Like that one photo of that one guy, his entire jawline was completely burnt off. It's a Brown Mountain case. A Brown Mountain case? You mean with the woman that I interviewed? Is that the one you're talking about? I mean that's the only one I can think of because I haven't done. Now, I mean, there's cases in the Brown Mountains of other people disappearing. Okay, well, like I said, when I interviewed her and everything that she went through, it was just your basic hiking trip or camping trip. You know, because when I was in Florida on vacation, I posted a video about Brown Mountain cases. You know, with the Brown Mountain lights and people actually disappearing since like the 1800s. There's a story of I know they said it dates all the way back to the 1800s, but there was one specific case about I think it was a slave master that was actually going into the woods, I guess, to get firewood or something like that, and he never came back. So other people that knew him sent his slaves out to find him, and the slaves and the other people, the search party never came. And there's another story about a woman who went into the woods. She never returned. The search party went to go find her. They never returned. And they haven't had too many stories about it because they probably try to keep them, you know, secret or quiet because we're talking about a national park. So naturally, whatever information gets out, it may just be one or two cases, and they keep the rest of them, you know, under lock and key. But moving on into the future, there was a story I read on the computer when I was in Florida, when I was actually looking up the information about a man who went up there, wanted to see the Brown Mountain Lights, you know. So he had his experience with that. But other than that, that was pretty much it. But when she came along and she told me she was actually going there, she didn't say anything until after she saw my video, and I talked about how she has, when you go, well, she looked at some other videos that I talked about when I talked about how how David Paulides was telling you what you need to do to stay safe in the national parks. You know, like carrying a firearm, GPS system, sat phone, a personal locator transponder, wearing dark clothing, carrying a dog with you, since they are, you know, they were actually protective for people, you know, like animal spirits and stuff like that. And that's pretty much it. But he says, as long as you have those things, you will come out of there alive. And she followed all the rules, okay? And excuse me. Now, if you watched her videos that I posted, you know, you can see. You see, I carry all those things when I do my research. Okay, cool. I'm glad you do. So you come back every time. So you follow the rules of going in there. And the one thing I always try to say, you want to make sure you respect nature as well. I'm not saying nature spirits have anything to do with it, but still, you know, I just like to be able to do that. I like to be able to respect nature, you know, so that people won't, so they won't think that I'm being. See, check the weather also. Oh yeah, yeah, check the weather. Have you gotten the pictures where? Oh yeah, you know, I talked to her a couple of days ago, and she said she's gonna talk to her friend's wife and say that that's all she really wants is the pictures of her footprints, since they were of her footprints. So I'll have to get back in touch with her again, like later on today, to find out if she got in touch with her. But it's like I said before, her friends, the two people that was with her at the time, they're not talking, and they've gotten really quiet. Now the female that was there, her name was I can't remember her name right now, but the other female that was with her, she actually went to the National Park Service to find out what would happen to her. You know, and that was the biggest mistake of all, because obviously they freaked her out. You know, they scared her to the point where she didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want to talk to nobody else, and she got real quiet. She hasn't talked to her in a while, and yeah, I mean, yeah, anonymous, but we're talking about her talking to her friends. Her friends are not talking to her, and she can't get in contact with them because they're not picking up the phone. And I'm thinking that the wife may have had something to do with it. I don't know, but I did talk to him. Well, he sent me I think he sent me an email, or he relayed the message through her, and she said that he's willing to talk. But at the time when he said all that, you know, he was still a little freaked out because they were harassing all three of them, talking about they need to do like a follow up on what they experienced. Now, when she was in there, on what the from what the video entails, after she finally got out and they came up to her, they talking about they needed her phone because she was taking video of private property. I'm like, okay, first of all, this is a national park where, you see, they experienced something that scared them very badly. Yeah, so that's one of the main reasons why they didn't want to talk at first. He said he would be willing to talk, but of course he would have to be anonymous. But he hasn't done that yet either. And maybe his wife got to him and said that she don't want him to do it because she don't want anything to happen. They have a family, so I understand exactly the reason why they're not talking. But in time, hopefully, if he wants to talk, I told him I'm always going to be available no matter what. I can set up an anonymous interview, nobody know his name, and he can tell me his part of the story. All I can say is that when they were both walking, all of them had dogs, and all of a sudden she hears a boom, and she said the boom actually sounded like a child jumping off of a high point and landing on the ground, like the sound that your feet make when they hit dirt or whatever. That's what it sounded like, but it was a little bit more pronounced and louder. And, so it startled her so much she looked back to see what that was. There was nothing there. So when she turned back around to where her friends were, they were gone. But little did she know, she was the one that actually disappeared. Because her friend said that he noticed that she wasn't talking. Because I think they said they were talking about show tunes or TV shows or whatever, and she wasn't saying anything. So he realized, and I think she said like 5 minutes passed or something like that at the time from what he said. He looked back and she was gone. When he looked down, he saw her dog's footprints and her footprints stop dead in its tracks in the spot where she was last standing at. And she was just gone. So it's almost like, well, Gabriel told me that when you hear booms like that, that's a portal opening up, and it kind of reminds you of that term, punching a hole in space and time. That's pretty much what's happening at that point. Something is punching a hole in space and time. I don't know how it opens. I don't know what controls it. It just, to me, it just kind of opens up randomly, because of the things that the powers that be are actually doing, which is causing a lot of disruption in this I can't really say, well, the space-time continuum, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so when that happened, it was almost like she was sent to another dimension or whatever it was that she got sent into. But wherever she was, it was like she was in an enclosed space because her voice sounded very closed in, like as if, like, say, if you were in let's say you in the bathroom, right, and the toilet is cut off from the rest of the bathroom. You close the door, and what happens? Your voice just bounces off of those walls and nothing else. So you can hear how your voice is enclosed in that one space. That's how her voice sounded. Now she did a voice comparison by going out into the woods near her house, walking her dog, and she was repeating what she did when she was in the park. She was calling out her friends' names, okay? And when I played it back, it was a completely different sound. Her voice sounded like, let me see, hey man, what's up? What's up, Mexico? What's up, Mexico? Hey, what's going on, my friend? And well, big welcome from Mexico. Okay, cool. Okay, so when she did that comparison, and I heard it, you can tell how her voice carries out in all directions. She's out in open space, but where she was, it just sounded too closed in, like somebody put a dome over her head. And I mean, not a dome over her actual head, but a huge, like, salad bowl, a life size or park size salad bowl, and they somehow caused some sort of like holographic mirror type deal in that dome where everything looked the way it did before she heard that boom. Okay, but yeah, she saw some unforeseen things. Hello, Techno Striker. Glad to see you came through. Just we talked about the Dr. incident. Now we're talking about the Brown Mountain incident that the woman that I interviewed had, and I also still want to talk about a lot of the stuff that I tried to talk about last night. And any questions? Hello, from India. Okay, hello from India. All right, cool. Glad to see that I'm getting people coming in from all over the world. I love that. But yeah, and like I said before, at one point she heard voices surrounding her, but no one was around. Crazy. Yeah. She could actually hear the sound of people talking, like in like a crowd or in a group or something like that. So people who have came up there talking very negatively about it, saying that she's crazy and da 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 da, and I'm like, wow, okay. Those people would either be the Park Service people just to make her sound like she's crazy, or it could just be people that don't believe. No one should, no one, no one she could see anyway. Exactly, no one she could see. Have you gotten any case from? Oh, can you repeat that part? Gotten a case from what? From where? I'm sorry, it disappeared before I could actually get a chance to see it. Can you type that in again so I can see what you were talking about? As far as where? I apologize for that, but they disappear so fast, because I'm not at my computer. So from Eastern South Carolina. Oh, okay. No, I haven't. I would have to look into that to see if I can get any from there, because I've been kind of busy with the Crater Lake disappearances and let me see. Nice. I am from Mexico, but I'm curious, how is India? I don't know much about the magical place. I don't know too much about it either, but I'm pretty sure he can tell you, obviously. but yeah. So the fact that she was hearing those voices, and there was nobody there, a lot of things was imprinted in that area, like sounds that she was familiar with, like the sound of birds and traffic. But you was hearing all that stuff back to back. First you hearing weird noises like staticky noises. Then you're hearing like a loud hum. Some people thought it was a motorcycle, but it wasn't. I know the sound of a motorcycle. I've heard motorcycles all my life, you know. So, and I know a friend that has a motorcycle, so I was always around that noise, and I know exactly what it sounds like, even if it's coming from a computer screen. And that was not no motorcycle. It did sound like it because the way it was kind of dissipating in the distance, but that's not what it was. That was some sort of audible hum, you know, and it was a very strong, like, vibrant noise, you know, and it would lower itself and it would pick up, and it would lower and pick up. It was weird, okay? And then there's the situation with the footbridge that was not there prior to her walking in that direction. So when she turned back to go the other way, that's when you saw the footbridge. It was like the whole area was rearranging itself, which I thought was very weird. But think about it. If she was in a holodeck, that would happen, right? And I know I'm talking like Star Trek kind of holodeck, but yeah. Excuse me. I would imagine that kind of technology exists. Let me see. They were playing with her. Exactly. They were playing with her, trying to see how well she can. Let me see. Trying to see how well she can adapt to that type of environment, and to see how well she can take care of herself out there. And she handled herself very well. Most people probably saying she's not freaking out or nothing like that. Is one thing I've learned from what I've been hearing is that you have to keep a level head. And this is something that happens no matter what. I don't care what's going on with you. You have to keep a level head if something goes awry. You can't freak out because you can't think straight and you can't find your way out of there, right? And she had her dog to take care of, and she loves her dog like she would love a child. Okay, so she had to stay calm for her. Therefore, she wouldn't feed off of her energy and start getting upset herself. The dog was calm as well. Now, she was getting upset or freaking out, like the part where she said, you know, like, Jesus freaking Christ, and it split again. You know, the trail split again. You know, so she was going through a lot, and it was making her upset, but she was still keeping a leveled head, and at the very end, she got out, right? But in the midst of all that, she still saw a lot of things, and the stuff that she didn't see, we saw, like that face that was in that hole at the bottom of that tree, okay? And I zoomed in on it, and that was definitely a face. I could see eyes, a nose, a mouth, and I could see the shape of the head, and I actually saw it move, so it was watching her. Okay, then there was the photo of that orange head where you can almost see the eyes. And people in that area called them the pumpkin head aliens. But I'm not sure of what type of being they were. I just know they were obviously interdimensional beings. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. But anyway, but what happened to her during all that, it was very crazy. You know, we saw things that she didn't see, like that thing that was running off to the right in that grassy area. You know, to this day, I still don't know what that was, because I could tell whatever it was on its legs and its feet, like it was moving around like a caveman, you know, or a monkey, you know. But you still couldn't make out what it was. It moved so fast, but it was just so, pixelation was so, you know, blurry, you couldn't make out what it was. I know it was something. What that something was, I don't know. But, like I said, in a case like that, there were obviously those other level beings that were there. Now, she had an experience where they spoke to her, and they told her that she did a great job, or did a good job, and there was, you know, and there was no need to be afraid. Okay, and one of them touched her on her forehead like this. I guess that was their way of communicating with her with mental telepathy, because not everybody has that ability to receive like words from someone that speaks in that manner. Okay, so he obviously had to put his finger on her forehead, or right here. I think it was right here, and he was able to speak to her, into her, through his mind into hers. Okay, now I myself have that ability. I can speak to Gabriel. You know, he speaks through me, and I can channel him to speak to his mate, and vice versa. So it's just one big connection. Okay. But he told me that she is protected. Gabriel said it depends on how open your mind is to them. Exactly. It depends on how open your mind is. Now, see, my mind has been open for a very long time. Yep, that third eye too. That has, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but that's, I guess you could say that's part of it. Ah, okay, yeah, so that is part of it, that third eye. Now, I have been told that my third eye is opening. My third eye has always been open, but the information that I was receiving, it wasn't a time for me to talk about it. You know, there was a time or a moment in our cycle where I could talk about all the information that I know, like all the information I've talked about in the past about, different things that a lot of people don't know about, like the situation with the yin and the yang. Okay, a lot of information and history about Gabriel and his kind have been lost to history for like thousands of years, and he is wanting to share with you the history, the real history of this planet. So if anybody wants to know about the history of this planet, we're going to still get into, the cases and everything, but if anybody wants to know the true history of this planet, feel free to ask and he will answer. Okay, through me and through his mate. So during the course of me talking about the Brown Mountain incident that the lady that I interviewed had, if anybody out there wants to know about it, feel free to ask. If you want to know about the true history of this planet, because he definitely has the answer. There's a lot of things that he told me that blew my mind. Okay, and see, did they talk to her afterwards? You should bring the anonymous lady back and talk to her. Yeah. Wait, when you say they, who you mean, the Park Service or Gabriel and Nate? Who, or do you mean the beings that came in contact with her? Which one? What exactly? Which people are you talking about? I just want to know so I can clarify and answer your question. The things that touched her forehead. They have contacted her. That first, it was their first time, and then I think twice after this, like a total of 3 times. They told her that 3 of 30 are coming. That's all they said. With 3 of 30 are coming. Now, I would imagine that would be the others or more of them. Not only did they talk to her, they gave her a gift as well. Right, yeah, okay. They gave her a gift as well. She has an innate ability to bring plants back to life. Okay? And because she said that she saw a plant at a friend's home and it looked like it was dying, she says that she could actually hear the plants crying because because they were dying. They want to stay alive. So she would bring them back home, do whatever it is she needed to do to bring them back to life, and she would have them in their window so they can get the right type of rays from the giver of life. So yeah, that's a pretty amazing gift, especially when it comes to nature. We were all put here to take care of this planet. That was our job. We were or are the guardians of Earth. Okay, our job is to take care of it, keep it thriving. Plant trees, take care of the land, all that stuff. That's our job. That was our original job. But the balance had gotten messed up when they had to leave after they decided they wanted to do things on their own. They didn't need their help. They didn't want to cause a conflict. They don't interfere with free will, and they definitely will not be in any kind of fight or battle with them. That's not what they were here to do. So when they left, the balance got corrupted with greed, money, and power. Now also the dark ones promised them power, which is the reason why it's thriving today. They wanted to keep the planet the way it was so that the balance was severed, and that's exactly what happened. It was severed long ago, and it's been like that ever since. So their job is to come back and set things right what once went wrong. Okay, so and like I said, it has a lot to do with what this is all about. They feed off the chaos. Right. Okay. Yeah. So they feed off of the chaos, and they feed off of negative emotion, like fear, sadness, hatred, anything that's negative that causes and the separation between the separation with the with the balance, all that causes negative energy, and they feed off of that. Okay. Now, Gabriel also wants to talk to everyone about, like I said, the real history of this planet. He also wants to talk about how to get rid of the dark energy in the darkness. So if anybody wants to know about that, if you want to get deep with the whole dark energy thing, if you ever experienced any kind of dark energy in your life, he can tell you. Because the one thing you want to make sure you do is don't keep any kind of negative emotion bottled up inside of you, because they are attracted to that. And you would basically be a straight up buffet if your body is littered with negative energy. Okay, so you want to do things to release that negative energy, like do an activity like go jog or sex. I know it works for me, but let me see, they latch onto it. Yeah, they latch onto it. So you want to also make sure, like I said, doing an activity that will cause you to calm down and release that negative energy and bring out the positive energy. Okay, like happiness. Just like if you are, let's say you are deployed to Iraq, right? And you got to leave your loved ones, your children. Let's just say your wife just had a baby and you got a newborn, and like I said, you leaving your newborn, your wife, your family, and all that stuff. You over there fighting for your country. Still, your mind is so messed up because you had to leave them and you don't know if you're gonna come back. You could end up getting killed. All that causes negative energy. So what happens when you cause that negative energy to go away? You go home to your family. You get a chance to see them. You smile. You have fun. You're with your family. That's what makes you happy. That's what keeps you from being a person that causes a lot of negative energy to build up inside of you. Okay? So that would be my advice to you. But if you want more questions, want more answers, feel free to ask questions, and he will definitely answer them for you, like how I am, because he's challenging himself through me to answer those questions. So, like I said, with that is one way to get rid of negative energy, or that dark energy, or whatever you want to call it, as well as the dark ones. If you stay away from that type of energy, they won't come around you. Keep yourself positive, smile, laugh, be in a happy moment at all times. Now, I'm not gonna say you can't get mad. Everybody gets mad. That's just part of nature. It's part of our genetic makeup. We get mad over things. Something makes us mad, we get mad. It's simple as that. That's just how it is. But you don't stay mad long. Okay, you get over it. Okay, and you separate yourself from that negativity and stay in a positive environment. Okay, I had to do that. I was around a lot of negative energy. And people that took advantage of my heart and my kindness. I have an innate ability to help people. That's just how I am. But at the same time, I want to be respected just like everybody else. But if I realize that they're not my friends, I stay away from them. And I stay to myself. If I have to stay to myself, I don't mind. I was by myself my whole life. I'm an only child, But I always made sure I stayed happy. From what I've been told, I'm one of the happiest people anyone has ever met, because I'm always smiling, I'm always laughing. I always have a song in my head. I'm always jittery, and dancing around, just doing all kinds of positive things that create happy energy. And that's what you want to do, create happy energy. Stay away from the negative stuff. Don't let any kind of negative energy get bottled up inside of you, because if you do, they're going to find you, and you might end up like Jerry Adadero. I'm just saying. Because they feed off the energy, they eat the energy, and they also eat us, And basically, this planet is like a buffet for them. because of all the separation and the negativity, all this murder and stuff like that. All that stuff is like a straight up buffet, like you going to Golden Corral or something like that. You got food for days, you know. So they want to keep, like I said, they want to keep the balance the way it is, so they can keep coming back and feeding all these people. You know, it's crazy. So, now, make sure I don't miss a question that comes up. Now, see, the thing is, like I said, when they left, the balance became unbalanced, and the balance kept a lot of negative people in check, like the powers that be. For instance, okay, they were promised power by the dark ones, so they decide to create a reality that that is good for them but bad for us. Okay, so I really don't like to even think about that, because when that happens, I just want to get rid of all that stuff. It just